Okay. Before we get started with this review, I just want to let y'all guys know that there's a spoiler warning in this review. And the reason why for that is because I didn't know exactly how to review this movie, without any spoilers. It's kind of impossible to, at least for me. So I only recommend watching this review if you've seen this movie. If not, then watch the movie first and then after that watch this review. That is if you want to watch the movie. Then yeah. So yeah, spoiler warnings. Yeah. All right. Hey everybody. Welcome to another movie review, and today I will be reviewing From Dusk Till Dawn. Yes. From Dusk Till Dawn, this came out in 1996 and was written by Quentin Tarantino, the one and only, and it was directed by the one and only Robert Rodriguez. I think this might have been the first movie they did together. Well, no, they did do two, or was it called Four Rooms? I haven't seen that one yet, but yeah, they did that with like two other directors too, I think. But and this movie has a pretty big cast. We got Harvey Keitel, George Clooney, Quentin Tarantino himself, yes, Juliette Lewis, Selma Hayek, Cheech Marin, Danny Trejo, Tom Savini, Fred Williamson, Michael Parks, and Kelly Preston. Yes. All right. So, all right, From Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah, this has been on my watch list for a long time. I for some reason been putting it off. I don't know why. I always wanted to watch it because I love Tarantino. He's one of my favorite directors, and I've seen all of his films that he's directed, along with some of the movies that he wrote. Like True Romance and Natural Born Killers. But I never seen this one until just recently. So I was at this store where their DVDs, their movies were, it was buy two get one free, and I bought two movies that I've already seen before. In fact, I even reviewed on the channel both of them. That was Training Day and Castaway, and I was thinking, since it was buy two get one free, I was thinking, you see, I was only looking for movies that I've seen before, because now I'm like, and they're both just like $5 each. And I was thinking like, the only time I'll ever get like a movie I've never seen before if it's like under $5. That's why I told myself. But since it was buy two get one free, I was thinking, well, you know what? I'll get I'll get a movie that I never seen before, and I got From Dusk Till Dawn. So yeah, um, I finally seen it. Finally watched From Dusk Till Dawn. It took me a long time, but finally got to watch it. And what I think about the movie, I liked it a lot. I did. I liked this movie a lot. This is a really good movie, and it's pretty fucking crazy. I mean, if you've seen the movie, then you should know that this is definitely a crazy film, for sure. And yeah, I like it a lot. It's probably again one of those movies I probably need to watch multiple times in order to be like one of my favorites. It's almost there, um, but I did I like this movie a lot. So before I get into stuff I liked and didn't like, which actually I think there's actually not very much that I didn't like. So that's good. More positives than negatives. But before we get into that, I'm going to discuss the plot. But like I said in the intro, this is a spoiler. This has a spoiler warning. So I'm going to go ahead and say some spoilers for this, for the for the plot, because I kind of thought to myself it might be kind of impossible to without spoiling some stuff. So yeah, so like I said, if you're still watching this movie, you still haven't, I mean, still watching this review and you haven't seen the movie, please turn it off. Unless you don't care, then fine. So, all right. So the plot of this film really crazy. So the plot is about these two guys, these two brothers. I don't remember their last name. Okay, Getco. That is Seth and Richie Getco, and they are played by George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino, which I never thought I'd see those two. Well, even in a movie together. Well, I mean, okay, maybe in a movie together, but you know, not in a scene together. I definitely wouldn't picture them as brothers. But yeah, George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino play Seth and Richie Getco, and they're two outlaws, two guys, maybe like I don't know, bank robbers or whatever, something like that, and they also murder people. And they are on the run. You know, everyone's looking for them, the cops and whatnot. They run into this family, who, two of them are played by, Harvey Keitel and Juliette Lewis, and then there's this, Harvey Keitel's son. I don't know who plays him, but yeah. They run into this family, who has an RV, and they tell them take them hostage and stuff, and tell them that they need to drive them to Mexico. So yeah, they do. They take them to Mexico. They take them to Mexico and take them to this bar called the Titty Twister, and which is like a kind of like a strip club sort of, and then that's where shit gets really crazy. Turns out spoilers. Turns out everyone who's there are vampires. Yeah. Kind of pointless I'm even describing the plot, because all of y'all that are hopefully watching this have already seen the movie, but whatever. But yeah, that's I guess that's all I'm gonna say. But they're all vampires. See, that's the part that spoils the film, and I kind of felt like I needed to say that, honestly, because that's a big deal about the film. So yeah, so again, spoiler warning, but so yeah, that's that's the plot of this film. Really crazy. And I kind of already knew that before going into this movie. Well, sort of. I knew it had something to do with vampires, but I wasn't sure exactly how this movie was going to be. Honestly, I didn't know that Clooney and Tarantino. Well, I didn't know they were brothers, and I also didn't know that they were like murderers either. Like yeah, I didn't know that they were like outlaws or whatever. I actually thought they were detectives, to be honest. But yeah, I did. Going into this movie, I actually thought they were going to be like detectives, but nope. But I did kind of know about the vampire thing. So yeah, or at least I heard about it. But so yeah, all right. Yeah, I liked this movie a lot. It was a fun ride, man. It was definitely a wild ride of a film. I'll say the thing that I loved the most about this film, though, is probably just the tonal shift of the film. That the idea that it switches its genre, because the first half of the film, it starts out as just like a crime thriller with just like these two brothers who are, like I said, who are on the run, and they take this family hostage and take them to Mexico. But then it turns into, by the second half of the film, once they get to the Titty Twister and everybody turns into vampires, it turns into a B horror film. So, like a really cheesy B horror film. I love that. I love that it turns into a completely different movie by the end of it. That is awesome. Not many movies do that exactly. I think one movie that I could think of that kind of does that is Parasite, which is a movie that I reviewed for the channel. Go check it out if you haven't already. And if you've seen the movie, then you might know what I'm talking about. It kind of turns into a different movie because it kind of starts out more like a comedy, but then it gets like really serious and shit by the end of it. So yeah, that kind of it kind of reminds me of that's the only other movie I can kind of think of that does that. Will also like Do the Right Thing kind of in a way, like the first two acts of that movie I consider to be a comedy, but then it turns into a pretty serious drama by the third act. So yeah, there's that too. Gran Torino as well, even though that one's kind of more comedy and drama, in the first two acts, but then it gets like really serious in the third act. But but this one, it's like just two completely a crime thriller and a B horror film, all in one, and that's awesome. It's not like a Full Metal Jacket where it's kind of like two movies in one. Not like that. It's just one movie that turns into a completely different movie. So yeah, I really liked that idea. That's genius to me. Now, I will say I like the first half better than the second half. Like I think the first half of the film is pretty much a masterpiece. Much like Full Metal Jacket, but like I said, it is different from Full Metal Jacket. But just the crime thriller stuff with Clooney and Tarantino. Yeah, I really liked that a lot, and also it has amazing dialogue too. I mean, Tarantino, he is very good at dialogue. He is really, really fucking good at dialogue. Even in True Romance, a movie that I don't like, honestly, even though I did give it a positive review, sort of, when I did review it, but thinking back, I don't like that movie anymore. And I know there's a fan base for it, but I don't like it. But I will admit this. True Romance did have good dialogue, and that's because of Tarantino, So, like, that's that and the performances and the scene with Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper. Those are like the only things I like about that movie. I know I'm going a little bit off subject. I apologize for that, but no, my point is though, Tarantino writes really good dialogue, and even in movies I don't really care for. Like, I'm not like the biggest Kill Bill fan, but the dialogue in it is great. So yeah, he can't go wrong with dialogue. So yeah, and that's definitely a positive for this movie, the dialogue. And the dialogue is really good in the first half of the film. There's some of it's pretty good in the second half too, but it really shines in the first half. So yeah, I really like the first half. The second half I like a lot too, but it does, like I said, the second half is a cheesy B horror film. Like it's actually it gets really cheesy. Like the first half isn't really that cheesy, but the second half is pretty cheesy, and that makes it definitely feel like a different movie for sure. But no, but I do like that. I do like some, cheesy horror films. Like I do like Children of the Corn. That movie is hilariously terrible. And same with Leprechaun with Warwick Davis. And I would even say the 1990s It, although I don't think it's terrible, that movie. But I mean, there is some bad acting in it, but I don't think it's terrible. But it is cheesy as hell for sure. So yeah, I like those kind of movies, and it did work for this. Now, it wasn't cheesy like in a bad way, of course, but it was still pretty cheesy. The second half of From Dusk Till Dawn, but I still enjoyed it. So all right, positives. I mean, I already said about I like the aspect of it switching genres, and I like the dialogue. The performances, for the most part, are really good. My favorites were George Clooney and Juliette Lewis. They were the show stealers to me. I mean, George Clooney, I like George Clooney. He's not one of my favorite actors, but I like him pretty well enough. I like him whenever most of the time whenever he does stuff with the Coen brothers. Like I love him in Oh Brother Who Art Thou. And I even liked him in Burn After Reading, which I wasn't a fan of really, but I liked him in that movie though. He was probably the best part about that movie. Him and Francis McDormand. But yeah, I like George Clooney. He's a good actor, and yeah, and this is his best performance. Him as Seth, he is, yeah, he is really good. This is probably his best performance, without a doubt. And Juliette Lewis, I love Juliette Lewis. I love her in Natural Born Killers and What's Eating Gilbert Grape and some others I've seen with her too. She's a great actress. I like her a lot. And yeah, I liked her a lot in this movie. I thought she was really good. And I liked her character a lot too. She was Harvey Keitel's dad. Harvey Keitel's daughter. Sorry, Harvey Keitel's daughter. And yeah, and Harvey Keitel as well. I'll go ahead and talk about him. Harvey Keitel is actually one. I even like him better than George Clooney as an actor. He's a great actor. I love him in, of course, Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, and even some of the Scorsese films. Taxi Driver. Yeah, I also Scorsese's first film, Who's That Knocking on My Door? He was really good in that one. I love Harvey Keitel. His character was pretty good. I liked his character, but I don't know. I felt like he wasn't as good as Clooney and Juliette Lewis, but that's just me. I mean, I think some people might say maybe not Clooney, but better than Juliette Lewis. I kind of like Juliette Lewis a little bit better, but that was me. That's just me. And Tarantino. I have to talk about Tarantino. This might be Tarantino's best performance. I don't know. It's a tie between either this or his, I guess you can call it a cameo in Pulp Fiction as Jimmy. But no, maybe this. I don't know. Now, Tarantino is not the best actor. And yeah, he's not like Oscar worthy in this movie, but he is good though. He is actually pretty good in this film. And he has great chemistry with George Clooney, surprisingly. Like, it really surprised me how awesome their chemistry was in this film. And they never, and the fact that they never worked together before, just like, wow. Like, that's actually very surprising. Like, I'm surprised Tarantino didn't hire Clooney in his films. I don't know. Maybe they didn't get along in real life. I'm not sure, but they did have really good chemistry in this movie. That's why it surprises me that they never worked together again. But yeah, that's probably one of the most surprising things about the film is their chemistry. It's so good. It really is. And some of the other performances, Cheech Marin plays 3 characters in this film, and yeah, he's great. And I love the monologue that the guy from the Titty Twister. Yeah, I love his monologue about him talking about pussy. That is hilarious. That made me laugh really hard. That was honestly like the funniest thing in the movie. And let's see who else. Also Tom Savini. Tom Savini was hilarious in this film too. He played this guy. His name was Sex Machine, and he had like a dick gun. It was hilarious. And Fred Williamson, I've seen him before, but I can't really. I like even looked up his filmography, and I couldn't even see what he's been in. Really, I didn't recognize what else he's been in, but I've seen that guy before. He looked very familiar. But yeah, he was good too. Him and Tom Savini were some of the some of the guys that were fighting off the vampires in the film, with Clooney and Keitel and Lewis, and yeah, they were great. Let's see, trying to figure out who else. There was this actor in the movie that played Keitel's son. I don't know who he was, but he wasn't really that great, to be honest. So that's kind of a negative I have with the film. I mean, he wasn't like, sorry, I'm fixing the camera here, but I wouldn't say he was like terrible. It wasn't like one of the worst performances ever, but he wasn't really that good. But Oh, and of course, I have to talk about Selma Hayek. I mean, yeah, everybody, that's like one of the most memorable things about this film is the scene with Selma Hayek. Before she turns into a vampire. I'll go and say that because this is a spoiler warning video. Um, but yeah, sexy scene, of course, sexy scene. Her with the snake, yeah. Um, Oh, and also Danny Trejo. He was the bartender. Yeah, I mean it's Danny Trejo, of course. And he's like in almost pretty much all of Robert Rodriguez films. In fact, I think they might be related or something like that. They might be cousins or something. I could be wrong about that, but I think I heard that. Um, but yeah. So yeah. Oh, and by the way, I'm wearing my Cheech and Chong shirts. I forgot to mention that, but yeah, since I was talking about Cheech Marin, but yeah. Um. So yeah. Yeah. The performances were great. I like the cinematography actually, even though it was very '90s looking, but still, I did like the cinematography. Um. And the color palette too. And soundtrack was pretty cool. I think ZZ Top was in it. And Stevie Ray Vaughan, I think. Yeah, soundtrack was cool. Um, the visual effects, I actually didn't mind the visual effects. They are dated looking, yes, for the most part. I thought the vampires looked all right, but like some of the effects, like whenever they died, looked really dated. But that was fine. I think they still kind of hold up a little bit. Yeah, they were fine. The effects. I think the only negative, okay, aside from that one actor who played, Keitel's son, he wasn't great, but the the only negatives I can kind of think of is the editing in the second half of the film. I thought the editing in the first half was really good. Like the first half of the film, like I said, is pretty much like a masterpiece. But the second half did have some cuts that I didn't really like. Um, so but yeah, whatever. It's not a big deal. It didn't take away my enjoyment of the film. I still liked it. I still really enjoyed this film. So yeah. But yeah, I have a lot more positives than negatives. Maybe if I watch this more, maybe there might be some stuff I'll notice more that I didn't care for. But no, for the most part, I really enjoyed this film. I really did. I'm glad I finally got to watch it. And yeah, it was a blast. It really was. No pun intended. but yeah, I really did like this movie a lot from Dusk Till Dawn. It's really good. I mean, I would say I highly recommend it, but like I said, you shouldn't probably be watching this review if you haven't seen the movie because there's a spoiler warning in this. But no, but still, it's still a great film. I still recommend it anyways. To even if you're not like a big horror movie fan, just watch it anyways. It's a great film in general. You might just like the first half of the film. I liked both, but I did like the first half better. But yeah, from Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, we're already at the 20-minute mark, so I can't really think of what else to say. So I guess I'll go ahead and give it its rating. I liked it a lot, so I'm gonna give From Dusk Till Dawn 4 stars. It may go up because I did give also 8th grade 4 stars, but now it's a 4.5 star film. It may go up. I don't know yet, but yeah, for now, maybe the more I watch it, maybe it'll be higher. But yeah, From Dusk Till Dawn gets 4 stars. Great film. I do recommend it. But yeah. All right. So there's my review From Dusk Till Dawn. So in the comments, tell me, have you seen? Well, hopefully you have seen From Dusk Till Dawn since you've watched this review. But yeah. And what's your favorite Robert Rodriguez film? I think this is it for me. I haven't seen a whole lot of his films yet. Like I still need to watch like Desperado and Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and what's that one called? El Mariachi or something like. Is that the name of it? Something like that. But yeah, I need to see those films. But of all the ones I have seen, this is my favorite for sure. Um, yeah, and also, what's your favorite? I guess what's your favorite Tarantino film? I mean, in general, for me, if you see my Tarantino ranking, it's Reservoir Dogs. But like of all the movies that he's wrote, I mean, I would honestly, okay, I'll say this. Even though I do like Natural Born Killers better, but then again, he didn't really do much in that movie because Oliver Stone did most of the work in that film. So he did a lot more in this. So I'll say this is probably my favorite movie that he did that he wrote. And also, what's your favorite George Clooney movie? This might be it for me. This or maybe Oh Brother Art Thou. But no, I think probably this one. Like I really liked his performance in this movie. So yeah. All right, so please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the bell. And I'll see you next time for another music related video. I'm not sure what yet. Maybe the Beatles discography ranking. I don't know yet. If not, then something else. We'll see. But I'll see you then. Okay. Peace.